Hello and welcome everyone watching this live. I am about to do chart readings for people who would like a reading from me. So today we're doing your readings. This is all about your questions. The way this works is I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $25. I am going to put a link in a second. So once you send the donation, I will need your birthday information, date, time, place of birth, and your question. I do ask that you prioritize one question so that we can we can answer as many questions as we can today. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're joining from. I am a traditional Western astrologer. If you're new here, if you're just joining, I do readings. I teach classes. My predictive course begins in March. So if you're thinking about joining us, learning how to forecast the future with astrology, join at anastasiadoesastrology.com. We begin soon. Spots are filling up, so don't wait too long. And yeah, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from, and we can get started. I am pinning the comment so you can get access to the donation link. Hi, Julia. Julia says, I'm going to donate. I'll be live for about an hour, and my list is currently open. So if you'd like to get on the list, I'll probably do like 4 or 5 people today. So if you're seeking to join and ask me a question, it is a good time to talk about eclipses, what they mean for you. We are March, February is this sort of fundamental month with a lot going on. Saturn is changing signs on Friday for 2 years. We have an eclipse on the 17th. We have Mercury going retrograde. So even just a check-in to be like, what is going on in my life, what's ahead for me, I think it's a really great time to do that because it is the month unlike any other. There is so much astrology in one month that can sometimes encapsulate a few months or half of the year. Okay, Julia says she just donated. Let me see. I see Julia and I see Maria. So thank you so much. Let me add you guys to my list. For anyone who is donating and looking for a reading, if you don't mind your information being shared publicly, just drop it in the comment section. If you want it to be private, send me an email at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com and specify that you want your information to be private. This way, I won't share my screen and I'll just answer your question without sharing your birthday information. Just be very specific and, specify, like, if you don't even want me to share your name, you can also say that. Normally, I think sharing the person's name is okay, but people have different preferences, and I totally understand that. Okay, just updating my list. So we have Julia and Maria. And thank you for watching also. Thank you for coming back. I think you ladies have definitely been to a few of my lives as far as I remember and know. Hi, Kathy from Edmonton, Alberta. I see your question. So I do ask for a donation in order to answer questions. Suggested amount is $25. There is a link in the description and it's also in the pinned comment. And once you send the donation, I'll add you to my list. Right now I have 2 people on the list, and then I'm happy to answer your question. I just feel like, it's quite normal to exchange energy and ask for reciprocation of my energy and my knowledge. Okay, I also have Lisa on the list now. So we have 3 people. And I'm just waiting. Julia was first, then Maria. Maria's information I have. So I just need a question and whether you want your information to be private or not. And then Lisa, for anyone who wants to send me an email and specify that you want your info to be kept hidden, do that at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com. Lisa, I see you. Awesome. Okay. Julia, thank you for putting your info in the comments section. And thank you for giving me permission to share your information. I appreciate that. I just came from the screening of Wuthering Heights, you guys. And I read the book. I read the book for the first time last month. It was just like never something that was on my radar. And Julia is asking, how was it? So I just read the book, right? And when you just read the book and you go watch the movie, everything is wrong. Everything is like different from the book. Some characters didn't make it. She only covers like a really sort of just Catherine and Heathcliff relationship. And I kind of wanted there to be more. I wanted there to be more to like Heathcliff's. He's every character is like messed up in the story. And the director was there. She talked about that too. And she kept that. So she was honest kind of to the main theme of the book. But to me, there was just so many liberties with the story that I was like, I was like rolling my eyes half the time. I was like, but why? But where? Yeah. Julia, have you read it? Are you a big fan? Let me put your info in. And for all of you, I will keep mentioning it, but my course starts in a month from now, March 7th, all about predictive astrology, all about using your chart to forecast the future so that you can be more proactive, you can take control, you can avoid difficult transits and know what's coming up, right? We're going to look at using transits, solar returns, annual perfections, all of that in this class. It's going to be a blast. I really enjoyed teaching the natal chart class. So now it's level 2. Okay, Julia. August 23rd, 1986. A fellow Libra rising, right? If I remember correctly. 11:30. And you are with that beautiful Venus in Libra, which I feel like I never fail to comment on. Yes, you're saying Libra sister. Kathy is saying she sent a donation as well. Okay, thank you, Kathy. So I'm probably only going to take one more person because there's already 4 people that have sent donations. Thank you very much. So if anyone is watching and really wants to jump on, send your donation. Suggested amount is 25 and you'll get on the list for today's readings. And then we'll be fully set on our adventure today. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl yesterday? Were you excited about it? Were you not excited? I have been turned towards American football. I have always been like, no, and now I'm like, yeah. Okay, so Julia says, and definitely, okay, wait, you're saying you read it in high school, Wuthering Heights, and definitely can relate to book is always better, but I do want to see the movie. I feel like if you read it in high school and it's been a long time, you might appreciate it more than I have just like a month after I read the book. Namrofni 6236 asking if I can talk about Gemini in the 8th house. If you could save this question for later, if it's just more of a general question, if you don't mind sticking around for a bit and then like repeating it to me as I wrap up, because a few people send the donations and I want to get to them. Julia says, I love Venus in Libra. It's a beautiful one. It gives you are the Venus. You are the child of Venus. Life should be abundant and joyful, and there should be blessings that come from Venus. Okay, so right now the list is Julia, Maria, Lisa, Kathy. I will take one more person. So if you're interested, send the donation. Suggested is 25. You can send more if you feel like it. You can say less if send less if you can't afford 25. I understand that. So for now, let's focus on Julia's reading. Okay. So Julia, let me share your chart. Let me actually just a second. Julia, what was happening in your romantic life in June, July, August last year? Hi, Wooby Locks. Okay, so Julia, is this correct? Virgo, Sun, Aries, Moon, Libra rising. And the question is, can you tell me what to expect with Saturn moving on? The last few years were very hard with my romantic relationships. And I asked Julia what was happening in June, July, August 2025. And she's saying lots of realizations where I felt more open and more ready for something stable. Okay. Okay, so I do remember looking at your chart, right? You were born with North Node in the seventh house. So your South Node is in Libra, your North Node is in Aries. South Node on Venus does tend to diminish Venus a little bit, especially in regards of like, you may be someone who has good karma and like you may attract a lot of abundance your way, but I think material gains may be less satisfiable for you. So let's say you buy the most expensive bag, right? Because you desire it, but then it's like there it's less shiny, it's less joyful, it's less like you don't care about it as much because your North Node is directing you towards Aries direction, which, and like it's kind of like less about shiny things, more about spiritual things, I think, for you. And so North Node in the seventh also creates a lot of karmic lessons around relationships, a lot of hunger for relationships, but also a lot of like, yeah, like I think when the ruler of the seventh house is Mars, there's always this kind of question of like, how do we enter a partnership without sacrificing oneself? Because you have South Node in Libra, you have Venus in Libra, you're a Libra rising. Those are like three major placements. Yeah, your Jupiter is powerful and it's in charge of a lot of your chart, but Venus is in her home and she's sitting right here. And so like you know how to get along with people really well. You know how to be fair. You have like a natural compass for being social and friendly and just like this is who you are. But what you're learning is to be more assertive. And I think you're kind of learning to also connect with your emotions. North Node on the moon can create a lot of like uncertainty in regards to one's own emotions because North Node intensifies things and the moon is feelings. And so all of that is showing up in your relationship sector. And so you asked about Saturn moving on. I mean, Saturn has been in your sixth house, which could have been about health and work, but it was opposing your sun, it was squaring your Saturn, it was conjoining your optimistic Jupiter. So I can see why that would have been difficult. And now it's going into your house of relationships. And Neptune is already here. Neptune came in on the 26th of January, and Saturn comes in this Friday. And this is going to be more of what you said was in the summer of 2025, lots of realizations and feeling more open and ready for something stable. I think because Saturn and Neptune are coming together first, I think there is going to be, if you're unhappy with something, there may be a sense of like shedding and maybe some discontent and disillusionment and melancholy. That's just a blank statement for most of us, because Saturn and Neptune come together once every 36 years. And the last time they came together in late 80s, USSR fell apart, Berlin Wall fell down. So like Neptune can wash things away. Neptune can wash away Saturnian structures and can sort of bring dissolution of things. Are you in a relationship right now? Julia says, yes, connecting to my emotions more finally. And that's a big lesson in your relationships too. It's like expressing your emotions, but potentially learning also, I think, to manage them, so that like big feelings don't swallow you, right? Or don't kind of lead you astray. Because while you have this beautiful Venus in Libra, it's right opposite your moon in Aries. And then there's this square to Mars in Capricorn. So you do have a lot of cardinal energy, even with your midheaven and Cancer. And maybe that's where the answer lies. Okay, you're saying I'm dating a guy, not officially in a relationship. And so Saturn conjoining Neptune could be the time of like reckoning in that relationship, right? That's kind of an interesting word that came to my head. But if you're dating someone and you're not sure about it, maybe you get really serious, because Saturn comes in and Saturn is like, no BS. Saturn is going to be like, where are we going? This is what I want. This is what you want. Saturn can create a sense of urgency. So that's kind of one thing to watch out for, like not to do too much, and watch out for sort of self-sacrifice, because Neptune can bring this kind of idealistic notions into love, and Saturn will come in and either cut those away or maybe like re-emphasize some of the idealism. Yeah, it's like I think the relationship is not meant to last. Saturn conjunct Neptune, February, March, April will be a very testing time for that relationship, and for relationships generally. Saturn and Neptune will come together and it will be like, well, what is true versus what is fantasy? And if something is a fantasy and you're asking, do I see what would happen? I think a lot would depend on like how you feel. Do you feel like this relationship can stand the test of time? Do you feel like you can bring the future to this guy? Like I feel like if your heart is telling you yes, then I think it could be the sign of commitment, because it's going to go one way or the other, most likely. One way is like relationship gets tested and it doesn't make it through, it gets dissolved, washed away. And then another way, it makes it through and you realize that you can build upon it, and then you get to work and you get serious. There's going to be happening eclipses in your fifth house of pleasure and love. And so I think there's going to be a lot of focus on like pleasure and relationships and joy. And Saturn will be in your seventh house. So I think it can definitely be a sign that the next 2 years can bring commitment and seriousness and sort of stability. Now, let me see for a second. You are 39. So 36, 37, 38, 39. You are currently in the fourth house. Annual perfection ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in the third. Mars is here ruling the house of relationships. What was your love life like in love? What was your love life like 12 years ago when you were 27? Because you do have this exalted Mars in charge of your relationship house. And that to me feels positive, because it's like a steady, productive, strategic Mars. So if 27 was a good year for relationships, that would be a good place to start, because maybe there's been, maybe that's a good sign for it. But I think a lot depends on like this specific relationship. And I could look at your charts together, but for that, it's probably better to do a relationship reading, because I'd have to dive in and analyze them, and that takes me some time. Lisa says about Super Bowl, yes, Seattle Seahawks rocked it. They did. They left no chance for the Patriots, like at all, which was a little sad. To be honest, I always root for the underdog. So I was like, go Patriots. But Patriots have way too many Super Bowls, so it's okay. Julia says, back 12 years ago, I was married, not happy, giving everything in an emotionally abusive marriage. So I think right now is not the same because you are 12 years wiser, 12 years older, but there may be some similarity to that period in terms of like, are you asking for what you want? Or are you waiting? Are you being too much of a Libra, right? Where maybe you need to be a little bit of an Aries. So I think that's what Saturn going into Aries is going to be about. It's going to force the question out into the open, and it's going to show you whether the relationship is meant to last. And if it's not, it will be like liberation and something new and better will come along because of the North Node entering Aquarius and going into your house of pleasure. So, whatever happens, I think it's going to be for the best. But I would recommend that you kind of like speak up for yourself and, you know, let that Mercury and Leo speak. Tell them what you want, tell them what you deserve and what you desire. And yeah, Julia, I'd be happy to do a compatibility reading later for sure. Julia says, I'm going for what I want now. I am bettering myself, got accepted into grad school. That's awesome. Congratulations. And you are speaking up. Yeah, so keep doing that because like, you know, if you've been dating them and like you can approach it with diplomacy of a Libra, you can be like, I'm not forcing things, but I want to know. And maybe, you know, maybe sometimes forcing things a little bit is not the worst thing also. But yeah, I think it's about like, don't wait for them too much because you deserve to get what you seek. You're welcome, Julia. Happy to answer your question, happy to do your reading. Okay, so next we have Maria. Maria, are you with us? Maria, Lisa, and Kathy is on my list right now. And then we can take one more person. After that, I will close the list because I am doing a short reading. I mean, short as in like only an hour live. Hi, Maria. Okay, so a brief note as well for people who are on my list, right? I have Lisa and Kathy. I would need your birthday, time, and place. If you're okay with your information being public, put it in the chat. If you want it to be private, email me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com. And you can say on there that you want your information to be private, that you, I mean, like, yeah, just give me your info, say that you want it to be private, put it in caps so I don't miss it, and ask me a question there as well. Okay, Julie. I see Julie as well. So I'm going to close the list officially. So we're doing an hour-long live, a little bit over probably, but just to make sure I'm not going to go too far. Okay, Julie, awesome. Maria, yes, we can do like sort of a brief relationship reading for sure. For like more in depth, it's always best to do like a full-sized reading, but I can, you know, I know a lot. I know a lot in my head at this point, so I can definitely do it on the fly. Okay, Julianne. Julianne is Julie, right? Julianne. Also, I just got an email from someone asking me to keep their information private. And if you did send the donation, do tell me because I don't know if that was you or who it was. I do have 4 people more on my list, and that is Maria, Lisa, Kathy, and Julie. So I'm not sure about the email that was sent to me. Maria, what would the question be? And do you know his birth time? Probably not, right? I feel like maybe we've done this before. Julie, thank you so much for your generous donation. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone for your patience as I get through people on my list. You guys rock. Yeah, Maria, let me know what specifically you'd love to know. So you're wondering if you're compatible. So basically just what I see in terms of your compatibility. Would you rather I keep your information private, Maria, or it's okay to share it? Julianne is like, can type, I'm excited, love catching your lives. I love the energy. I love the excitement. So thank you for catching my lives. Okay, I got another donation from Evie. Okay, so she's asking for information to be kept private. This is officially the last person. I'm not gonna say no because she did send it, and perhaps it was somewhere in the midst of me saying that I'm closing the list, but this is officially the last person on the list. So just FYI, keep that in mind. Okay, Maria. Maria says it's okay to share. Okay. So let me pull up his chart real quick. Should we call him, let's say, Guy? August 594. Is it the person that we talked about, or is it someone new? Because we did do a reading not very long ago. Okay, I'm just pulling all of the information in. Also, for everyone who pays attention to astrology, if you've heard from me, or you're aware of Mercury going retrograde at the end of the month, if you need any like astrological remedies, I am a big fan of Mercury and Virgo candles, because Mercury retrograde creates confusion in the mind. It's going to be not only retrograde, but also in the sign of its detriment. So it's going to be double the trouble, double confusion. So could be a good candle or oil to get for this period, because that would be useful. Someone new. Okay. Kathy says you could share mine. I'm not shy. I appreciate that. Mercury and Virgo candle. Yes, it captures Mercury in the sign of rulership, and I always light it up when I write. I always light it up during the retrograde. I like notice that it streamlines my speech, and it's like right here. It's one of my go-to candles right now. Okay, so Maria said it's okay to share. So let's share and see what we can intuit from it, or rather analyze from it. Okay, so just double checking, August 5, 94, Dallas, Texas. Don't have the time, so I put 8 a.m. just because I wanted to put some birth time. Okay, so he's a Leo sun, you're a Gemini sun. That's good, right? You are the airy, full of ideas, open-minded, flexible. He's this fixed fire, so your ideas can excite him, can like ignite him, and his stability can also be quite attractive to you, especially because your Mars is in Leo. There's like a good kind of flow, I think, because his Mars is on your sun and your Mars is on his sun, not by degrees. It's a wider orb. I guess it's by degrees with your sun in Gemini and his Mars in Gemini. So I do like that. That could be like a very energizing combination. I think together you guys will have like a very, you will have like fun. Let's say there's going to be opportunities to do fun things, and you can also like maybe energize each other to follow your dreams and to achieve things. And I'm just real quick going to pop to the composite chart. And there we go. In the composite chart, there's also Sun, Mars, Sun, Venus conjunction, which is both a sign of like romantic energy and that sort of fiery, passionate energy. Petite HD, am I closing the list already? I just signed in. So if you, I see you, I did add you to my list. You are the last person on the list. So after you, it is closed. So at this point, I'm not taking any new people, but I am doing these once a week. So next Friday, next Monday, where are we? What year is it? Next Monday, you can jump on as well. But I'll take you, Petite HD. I'll take you because I saw your donation and your email. Okay. So yeah. So Maria, definitely quite energizing energy. Like I think you can inspire each other. So your Venus is in Taurus. His Venus is in Virgo. That's pretty good. Mars in Gemini, Mars in Leo. That's also pretty nice. He's got a Venus Mars square. So he might have a little bit of like inner tension between so his Mars would be very open-minded and like romantically and sexually he can be very open-minded. He's someone who's like inside, like turned on by words, likes dirty talk, will try anything at least once. But then his Venus is a little bit like puritanic and he can be maybe self-critical of himself and maybe struggle a little bit at times with his own like yeah, like there's a bit of inner tension between like, oh, let's try this versus like, oh, maybe we shouldn't. And so sometimes that may come across at you in a relationship, but I do like that you have Venus in its domicile so you can actually help him chill out a little bit and you can help him savor life. You can actually be someone who can like encourage him to be in the moment and enjoy things. And so that is I think a nice combination. And his Jupiter being in your ninth house is also like he can, maybe there's something foreign about him, like he's already bringing like a foreign energy element and he can teach you, he can inspire you, he can like, yeah, there's something about like he can open your mind, I think is I like that. And even his Venus being in your seventh house of relationships is potentially nice because if seventh house represents what you find attractive, his Venus is there. And so it's like a pretty natural fit, I think. Yes, Evie is on my list, the last one. So in that regard, Maria, I think you can be compatible. There are, of course, there's always maybe some challenges, like you may be emotionally reactive to what he says sometimes. Like he may come across maybe as like things he might just say or act may sometimes trigger a deep emotional response within you. But at the same time, there's also like a natural attraction. I think when somebody's Mars is in the sign of someone's moon, as it is for him, there's almost this sort of animalistic, like, I want to make you pregnant type of energy. Having his Mars in the fourth house can also be a sign that maybe he's going to be like helpful for you in terms of standing up for yourself and asserting yourself and yeah, kind of making sure you're not sacrificing yourself. Julianne is like bow chicka bow. Yeah, Mars moon it's a tricky one because people with their Mars on your moon can be very like, it's like Mars has that spear to it, right? It's like a spear and a shield. And the moon is your most vulnerable self. So on some level, they can like easily penetrate it. And that could be, of course, like sexual, but that could also be like emotional. But can also maybe like, there could be like a good way to figure things out. And I also really like his moon in Cancer. So I think he probably has enough emotional maturity to listen to you and to understand if he did hurt your feelings. So this is beautiful for your this is really nice for your Pisces rising. He's got both of your romantic houses activated. Could be a good father too, or a good sort of father figure. Let me know if this resonates. I think it's a pretty good combo just from looking at it briefly. And if you have any like follow-up questions, do let me know right now as well. Okay, after Maria, just waiting to see if she has any follow-up things that she'd like to know. After Maria, I have Lisa, Kathy, Julie, and Evie. You're welcome. Yeah, I think it looks like a pretty sort of interesting, and even that cluster of planets in the composite chart. Um, Sometimes people say that like the sun having the sun between the Venus and Mars can suggest that there's maybe some type of like sense of duty or something that unites you guys together and maybe sometimes overtakes the pleasure. But I feel like that can also be a sign of there's just a lot of excitement and affection because there's this Venus Sun conjunction that could be like a sign of a really affectionate romantic relationship. Maybe a little bit of confusion as Mars Neptune, Mars Uranus opposition, some element of like uncertainty or disruptions that come out at your relationship from the outside world, come at your relationship from the outside world, and then you need to work through them together. But that's part of most relationships. And you're welcome. I feel like your Venus in Taurus, Maria, is a really nice placement and is a good blessing. And even the fact that your relationship house is ruled by Mercury in the 5th house, that's also a really good placement. It can suggest that like you're meant to be with creative people and people who are like interested in being a parent and maybe playful and romantic. And I think it's also a sign that you're like looking for a serious relationship. Your house of partnerships is ruled by Mercury in the house of pleasure and joy and sex. And so those two become kind of together. Like you're not looking for a relationship that's just like fun. Fun is good, but it needs to be both. Eve the Empress Oracle asking too late to get on the reading list. Yes, for today it is because I started at 6, so I'm having a shorter reading today. Julianne, do you have affiliate link for the candle? Sorry to make a big deal about the candle. So I make them. I can definitely send you a link. It's not affiliate, it's my own. I make them based on the astrological times. So I look carefully at when the planets are strong and then I capture them. Yeah, and like, I started doing this because I was born with Venus in Virgo, and Venus is in her fall in Virgo, and I struggled with relationships for like my whole life. And so when I started learning astrology, I was like, how do I work with this? How do I make it better? Right? Like, okay, I know I have Venus in Virgo and I'm self-critical and I fall into a trap of like worrying and stuff. And so I was like, what can I do? And so I've been doing rituals and creating candles and all of that stuff. It like started from personal desire to make my life better. And from that spurred a chapter of my business. Yeah. They're all like, if you want something for a relationship, I have Venus candles. Mercury candles are great for the upcoming retrograde. I have solar candles, sunlight in a jar, exalted sun, that can be good for leadership and visibility. It's all there. I put the link in there. Okay, so thank you, Maria. Lisa is next. Lisa, did you send me your information? Could you share it again? Are you okay with sharing your info publicly? Hi, Mike. It is great to see you as well. I'm glad you're catching another live. And yes, customized astrological, powerful candles and oils as well. Okay, Lisa, Let me see if there was I see your info. And I think that's what it is. You said I'm interested in knowing my love status, right? Are you here, Lisa? And is it okay to share your information? I assume because you put it in the chat, it's probably fine, but do let me know. Okay, so let me see. Lisa, I have your chart pulled up, but please let me know if you're watching because I would probably be asking you questions. So if you can pop on and say if you're here or not. Otherwise, I can probably do Kathy's reading next and do Lisa's when she comes on live on this live. So Lisa or Kathy? Sometimes there are also live stream delays, and hopefully Kathy, I see your comments from before. Okay, Lisa or Kathy, can you guys say aye? Can you pop up if you are here? I wonder if I'm dealing with like delay. Can anyone say something so I can see that the chat is working? Can you guys like just let me know if you can hear me and we're still in business? Julianne says I'm stalking your Kindle side. I can hear you. Okay. I can also do some personal recommendations, Julianne, when I get to your chart, if you'd like. Okay, so Lisa, Kathy, Julie, and Evie. Julianne is here, so I can potentially do your reading next. But Lisa and Kathy, calling your names. Otherwise, let's go for Julie. And do you prefer Julie or Julianne, by the way? And is it okay to share your information or not? Because I see that you put it in the payment link, like when you paid, I see it. Lisa, are you watching? Kathy, are you ladies here? Okay. Julianne says, I wrote my question on Venmo, Aquarius solar eclipse. You can say either. Okay, Julie or Julianne. YouTube asked for a username and I just did my full name. You can share. Okay. Okay, Lisa is here. So Julie, let me do Lisa's reading just because she's ahead. And then I will get to you shortly after. Okay, Lisa, I'm glad you are here. So you said you're curious about your love life, right? And are you an Aries sun, Gemini moon, Libra rising? Is that correct for you? Public is fine, and thank you. Okay. See, there may have been some kind of delay because you're answering my questions now, and it's been a minute since I asked them. So sometimes YouTube creates delays. Okay, so she said public is fine. Kathy's here. Okay, now everybody's here, but I think a little bit delayed maybe. So Kathy, you will be right after Lisa, and then Julie is next. Okay, Lisa, so you're saying yes. Julie says, I have to continually refresh and speed up time to catch up in real time with you. Ah, okay. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe if you like step out of it and then you come back, it plays from the same place that you were at. So if you're watching this right now, maybe update it so you can see the reading in real life, in real time. Mike, am I still able to do a reading? Not today. I did close the list for today because I still have 4 more people to get through. And I was planning to only be live for an hour, so that's going to put me way past an hour. So I am wrapped up for today. Julie says, or if you're on your phone, hold down to the right to FFW to real time. Fast forward to real time. Okay, so Lisa is curious about her love life, and we have her information here. Lisa, what is happening in your love life right now? Are you in a relationship? Are you wondering about like future relationship? Are you in a relationship? What's happening? Yeah, we're definitely dealing with delays because Lisa and Kathy are both saying they're here, and I have already figured it out by now. So if it feels like I'm not seeing your comments when they're coming through, that's probably why. Kathy's like, Lisa and I are here. I see it now. I see that you're here, ladies, but you were not when I was asking. So please fast forward to update it so you're watching this live. Yes, and thank you, Julie, for keeping on top of things. You are like a true Aquarius on top of technology. Okay, so Lisa, I am waiting for you to tell me. Now the messages are coming through that they're both here. Julie says, I'm OCD with wanting to be in the now. That's probably good. That's good to be in the now. So, Lisa, do tell me whether you are in a relationship right now. And maybe do fast forward or update this live so you jump on to me talking in real time because there are delays and we are not getting each other's questions and answers in real life. We're sort of delayed. But I'm going to start telling you what I see about your love life as of right now. And the same goes for Kathy too. Just update the live so you guys are watching in real time. So, Lisa, you are born with your Sun, your Venus, your Saturn, your Chiron, and your North Node all in the 7th house. And that's a lot to have in the 7th house of relationships. The ruler is Mars in Sagittarius. So I think it's safe to say that you're likely attracted to foreign people. You may be attracted to military types, people who travel a lot, maybe people who have like a faster paced schedule and faster paced life. Definitely like assertive, physical, masculine types, I'd say. The ruler of your chart as a Libra rising being Venus in Aries. Venus in Aries it's like it has challenges because Venus really loves Libra and she's at home in Libra, and in Aries she's considered to be really far away from home, and she tends to behave in these like martial ways, right? Venus in Aries is Venus in a Mars sign, and so So she kind of, there might be this tendency to attract people that are combative. There might be this sense of looking at a relationship as like it's meant to have fights and obstacles and difficulties. There might be this tendency to prefer the chase over the conquest, or feel like the relationship is always meant to be full of like struggle and drama. I would recommend on a Friday. Friday is ruled by Venus. You can get my Venus and Libra candle. That would be perfect for your chart because you are a Libra rising and Venus is in charge of Libra. And so that would be a good fit. But you can, if the candle, if you're like, if you can't afford the candle right now or you want to do other things, Friday is the day of Venus. And I do it as someone who's born with Venus in Virgo, which is another sign Venus struggles in. You can dedicate every Friday to the day of like self-love and buy yourself flowers, eat delicious food. You can, definitely like write a prayer and ask Venus for what you want romantically. Lighting a candle would be like really good to light it and read a prayer, as that energy of Venus is being absorbed by the space around you and sort of covers you all around. So working on the Venus would be one step. And step number one is that you're saying, yes, there was a delay in the chat. I am currently single. Okay. Yes, I'm definitely, I guess we are on the right track then. So you're also born with Saturn in the 7th house, and Saturn has another kind of tendency to bring delays to your relationship sector. I think the people you attract might have a lot of kind of different qualities. They may be very assertive, but sometimes to a point of like maybe they might have some issues with getting recognition. They may be too competitive or too combative or too sort of reckless and rash. And so a lot of it would require, I think, like working with those planets, with Saturn and Aries. With Saturn and Aries, I also have Saturn and Aquarius candle, which could be good for that. But Saturn, every Saturday, I would recommend volunteering for a charity that helps people that are unfortunate, underprivileged. And it could be good because it's going to connect you with your Saturn, and it will give Saturn the love that he deserves by like you give your time and attention to people in need. And you also, in a way, like take attention away from your own worries and you create good karma. And by creating good karma, your relationship situation can improve as well. And so, so Saturn brings delays. Saturn in the 7th house may also suggest that there's a lot of projection that can be going on, that you, for some reason, may fear relationships and you may fear being hurt because you have been hurt in the past. And so you may build walls around yourself, and you really have to be very careful with that you're not, on one hand, being too self-protective, that you're not letting anyone in. And then on the other hand, that you're not choosing people that are commitment phobes, because they will keep you protected, right? Like if you're too afraid of being hurt, you're more likely to choose people that you can't get too close to, or they can't get too close to you. So before they even get to hurt you that deeply, you cut them out or they cut you out. So kind of, being aware of that, doing some rituals. You're about to go through your second Saturn return. What was your first Saturn return like, is the question for you, back in 96, 99. If that was a really good or important period of relationships, here you go again. It happens every 29 years. So your second Saturn return is coming up, and that will be a quite significant period for love for you. It can bring commitment. It can bring more stability to relationship. It can also make you more clear about what you want. So I think that could be quite a positive period, especially if your first Saturn return from 96 into 99 was a good period. So that's what I have for you, Lisa. I hope this was helpful. And Kathy would be next. I hope Kathy is with us in real time. Kathy, say hi. And let me see what was Kathy saying before. Kathy said I could share her information. And I do see your info. Okay, awesome. So Kathy is next, and then Julie. Okay, just checking that I have the information correctly. Okay. Lisa says, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. You're welcome. You can also always watch the replay if there was a delay. Petite HD says, wow, I must test if I'm in real time. Yeah, for sure. Julianne says, usually with ads and internet issues, we all end up delayed to real life time, have to occasionally exit and re-enter or fast forward. Yeah, that's a really good point because it does throw ads in once in a while, and that can delay you as well. Burton Bros says, are you still taking requests? No, I am wrapped up in terms of the list for today. I still have 3 people on it, Kathy, Julie, and Evie. And then we are wrapping up for today. Okay, so Kathy, I'm going to do your reading. I hope you catch up with us at some point, or you can always watch we can say Kathy's reading starts at 57:45. Okay. So Kathy's question was about Pluto opposition, I think she said. I have a question regarding Pluto opposition. What do you see? And Kathy, as you're jumping on to watch it, you can also update us and specify if there are any extra points to this question that you'd want to share. But let's see. Okay, so you're born with the sun, moon, and rising all in Leo. That is a powerful stellium, all in Leo, which I think to me suggests a certain. So you would both have adaptability to you, which is represented by the moon, and a lot of charm, which is represented by Venus in the first house. There's also something unique about you and unconventional. And then you're also very much true to yourself. You maybe know who you are and you present as you are. There's no tricks. You're not hiding who you are. You're not hiding what you want. You're very much you shape the world to fit you, right? You're not necessarily shape shifting to fit the world. Maybe a little bit with your moon, but I think there's a strong sense of self. And there's also maybe a personality that you've been embodying for a really long time, being the bright, the solar, the visible, the jokester, the funny, the charming, right? There may have been with this Leo energy, certain performance that you've been perhaps playing. Sorry. You have the star of the show type of energy to you, I think. But then Pluto comes into your 7th house and begins opposing your Leo planets one by one. And what it does is it challenges that sense of self. it reshapes things through relationships. It can throw in some relationship challenges. It can throw in endings in relationships. It can throw in some transformations in the lives of partners that force you to rethink who you are. And let me real quick, just a second, I want to take a look at some of these dates, because you've already had Pluto opposing your sun and your ascendant for a while. So I'm just going to look at like Pluto. So Pluto has opposed your sun, and it's done with your sun. It's been opposing your sun in March and June 2024, in January 2025, in September 2025, and November 2025. And it's opposed your ascendant as well in February, August, and December 2025. So it's been already kind of creating a lot of transformations in your life, bringing crises, bringing challenges, bringing tests, bringing people who like oppose you. Or I do really wonder what's been going on in your relationship sector, because sometimes this is just a sign that you are meant to find more truth in your relationships. You're meant to maybe release the fears and release the people pleasing tendencies and focus more on being authentic, and also be honest about what you truly want in the relationships. And so Pluto can encourage more passion. It can encourage more humanitarian approach. It can encourage more truth in relationships. You're saying, I think a year. I assume you mean that like a year of Pluto opposing your sun. Yeah. What has it been like? You've been in it. you've been very much in it already. So what will be interesting to see is whatever Pluto has ruffled in terms of relationships, if you've dealt with like changes in the partner's life, changes in relationships, changes in partnerships, we're going to start having eclipses here. And North Node is going into Aquarius in late July. There's a first eclipse here on February 17th. So there is a lot of opportunities, I think, for relationship growth that's coming up. And maybe the growth that will also encourage you to release an outdated version of yourself. South Node is going to go into Leo in late July. Jupiter is going to go into Leo in late June. And so there will be this balancing act between releasing old ideas of yourself and embracing authenticity and freedom and independence and exploration and partnerships. And so I think, to me, that's what Pluto opposition is about. I think it's very much a sign that your sense of self, your fixed idea of who you are, no longer fits. You're saying, yes, of Pluto. Yes, lots of partner relationship, been married 43 years. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Look at that. So have you noticed any shakeups in your relationships? Maybe it's marriage, maybe it's some other partnerships. Have you felt like you are changing, and maybe there's been more ways to change? Maybe there's been more ways to disengage from your sense of self or from your ego. I think there's like a sense of like a death of an ego. And through the death of an ego, a chance to reinvent yourself and figure out like who you are deep down, deep within. And so partnerships and relationships can be a catalyst for change and transformation. That is what this looks like to me. Do let me know if you have any follow-up questions, because we are delayed. Sometimes this is like harder to assess. But Julie, you're next, and I assume you should be watching us in real time. And then Evie will be next after Julie. Julie's here. Perfect. Look at that. Very much live and here. And so, yeah, Kathy, like sort of my final thought here would be open to change. be proactive about creating more intimacy, about maybe redefining the constraints of relationship, um, maybe finding ways to volunteer together, or finding ways to build partnerships that have sort of like a common goal. Maybe there is some type of relationships that are coming into your life professionally that represent I mean, like, I don't know, this could be like a sign of a partnership that is politically minded, religiously minded, really focused on like improving the world. This could be a sign of romantic changes. And yeah, you're saying yes, looking more into myself. Thank you. That was great. You're welcome. Okay, awesome. I'm glad that you were able to join us. And thank you so much for the donation. Okay, Julie, you are here. Remind me, did you? I think I see. Wait, I have your info, right? Do I? I believe I do. Where did it go? There you are. Have your information. And what is your take on me sharing it? Yes, no? You can share public yes. And question was for Aquarius solar eclipse. Thank you so much for being so organized. And like moderating today. Thank you so much for moderating. I really, really appreciate that. You've been telling people to update it, update the live. You've been giving them tips and all the good stuff. I need this. I need this influence in my life sometimes. Also, happy belated birthday. What was your birthday like? And is your Mercury in Aquarius, I wonder? Sounds like it probably is. Oh, it's in Pisces, but you do have 4 planets in Aquarius. So I've got Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Moon, Scorpio rising. Is that correct? And happy multiple returns. It's your Venus return, it's your Mars return, solar return was a few days ago. A lot of repetitive energy. Okay, Julie says Evie's here. Awesome. Thank you, Evie. Okay, Julie says you can share public, question about eclipse or any other important transit, and a candle recommendation. And then you're saying, oh, yeah, I really appreciate you being helpful today. That's awesome. You're saying, thank you for the birthday. It was different, but great. Spend most of it alone, then weekend full of family and friends. Yes, that's correct. Yes, do give me some insight. Okay. So definitely Mercury in Virgo candle, because Mercury in Pisces is very dreamy and very imaginative and really creative, which probably gives you a lot of like, I can see you being a really great writer, maybe like children's book writer, right? With Mercury in Pisces, but sometimes it can create this maybe tendency to like get too lost in your own dreams and build like fantasies out of the ideas that you're having. And so Mercury in Virgo would be this opposite energy, and it could help like ground and structure your creative Mercury. So as far as candle recommendations go, that would be it. You're saying left to right, never thought about kids books, but kids love me. I bet that's good. That's a good kind of Mercury for being playful and childlike as well. Okay, so your question is about Aquarius eclipse. And then you said any other important things that I guess we can talk about. So Aquarius eclipse is happening very close to your Mars. And that is significant and that is interesting. So here's this eclipse on February 17th. And we're having Saturn and Neptune going into your 6th house. And Saturn rules this eclipse, so it's important to consider what Saturn is doing. Saturn begins 2 years in your sixth house. What was June, July, August like in 2025 professionally? Saturn and Neptune can bring a sense of disillusionment professionally, a sense of maybe overwhelm, tiredness, uncertainty, out of which new dreams may be born, new ideas, new goals, maybe work that involves creativity, that involves serving people in need, that even involves working with animals. And so this eclipse, which is ruled by Saturn, is connected to that. I think as you are realizing what is worth your time and what is worth like sacrificing for and investing into, the eclipse draws attention to your house of home, family, and living situation and suggests that maybe you need to move in order to find a better professional situation. Maybe you need to build a home office. Maybe you need to heal some childhood wounds that are still unresolved so that you can reach your fullest potential. It is an interesting one because it's your nodal opposition introduction, right? So you were born with North Node in Leo and South Node in Aquarius, which suggests that you are, sorry, yeah, North Node in Leo, South Node in Aquarius, which suggests that you're kind of in this lifetime, you have a lot of family karma and there's like a lot going on in your house of home family, but your North Node in Leo urges you to sometimes step out of that karma or step out of all these duties, step out of like handling things in the home all the time and go in the direction of playfulness and creativity and self-expression. But every 19 years we tend to like overdo our North Node and we kind of have to go back to our South Node. And so this eclipse, I think, suggests that before you continue your creative exploration and your professional growth, there is some healing that needs to be done. My other candle recommendation for you would be Sunlight in a Jar, because that is the sun in Leo and it falls in your 10th house of career. And that could be really good for like that sort of leadership, visibility, recognition. Because the sun in Aquarius is really good for working in the community, but it's sometimes harder to be like, but I also want visibility. I also want acceptance. I also want to be in the spotlight for a little bit. You're saying I was overworked and burnt out last summer. And then you're saying this is good. Thank you. I so needed to hear this. Yeah. So I would also ask you what was happening in your life back in 2008, 2009. Were there any changes in your maybe pursuits? Were there any changes in where you lived? You would have been 27, right? 27, 28. Were you moving? Were you changing careers? Because that would be, you're saying, oh my gosh, I moved to a horrible place. Well, I don't think the same is going to happen this time around, but it could suggest moving. It could suggest changes in your living situation. It can also suggest that you're maybe on this quest of like creating more peace and comfort in your life. And that can look so different person to person. For some, it might be about changing where you live. For others, it might be about changing work. For others, it might be about learning astrology. I can't help myself but plug my upcoming predictive course. It starts in March. So if you want to dive deeply into these transits and astrological questions, that could be a good thing to study. You're saying worst decision ever. Yes, a huge move to a new city and career. Yeah. So maybe, maybe not the same kind of negative impact, but similar questions being activated. There may be a sense of, again, sort of like you're saying you in the summer you were overworked and burnt out. And so maybe this is this sort of chance to recalibrate and go back and like kind of create peaceful home for yourself so that you can feel at ease and soothed and supported and sort of, and then if you feel at home and at ease and you've maybe done some healing and found a comfortable residence for yourself, then you can go out in the world and like conquer things. You're saying that was 2008, 2009. I didn't plan it well. Yeah. You're saying, I like all this. I've been stuck in a little rut. This is all insightful. Just keep in mind that it's okay for things to be confusing, and they might be confusing because Mercury is going to go retrograde at the end of the month. So it's like an eclipse season. Mercury's in the sign of its detriment and retrograde. So confusion is going to continue, and it's okay to not know. But yeah, like focus on kind of being patient with yourself, and because it's in your house of home and family, like how can you create comfort for yourself and be your biggest source of support and your biggest like ally in the process. Yeah, you're welcome, Julie. I'm glad this was helpful. My choices for you, as mentioned, for candles would be sunlight in a jar for that sun in the professional sector, and Mercury in Virgo, which can also help with like networking and friendships and attracting people who are perhaps better off financially if you've ever dealt with any challenges in these portions of your life, like sort of attracting maybe partners who are not that great when it comes to money. Mercury can improve part of that karma. Yeah, and sunlight in a jar is for sure always a good match for Aquarius suns and Libra suns. So I was happy to look at your chart. Thank you so much for the donation, and again for being so good at moderating today. And so, Evie, are you with us? Our closing act today. You're welcome. Yeah. Julianne says, I'm getting them excited. I love candles. Thanks. Okay, Evie's here. Evie wanted her information to be private, correct? And yes, Julie, anytime, happy to help, happy to answer questions. Evie, Evie, woohoo! Okay, so just making sure. Okay, Evie says you can share. I don't mind. Hee hee. Okay, that's good. Let me see. Did you put your information in the? I see it. Okay. And the question was just give me a general overall and see if I should focus on my career this year. Okay. Evie. That's a beautiful name. I like Evie. Isn't there a cartoon like robot named Evie? I think there is. Okay, I got Taurus Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Cancer Rising. Is that correct? Okay, Julianne says Evie from Jetsons, the robot made, haha. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking about. Rosie? No, I think there was Evie robot. Maybe I'm confusing it. Evie robot. Oh God. Don't Google it. It gives you weird things. I think I'm probably thinking of something else, so never mind. Okay. Evie just confirmed that you are a Taurus Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Cancer Rising. Rosie. What's the one with like the robot being stuck on an island and she accidentally kills this like bird's family and she ends up raising him and he's like a runt? Eve? Is her name? Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Okay. Evie saying info is correct. My internet is being weird now. Yeah, keep updating it maybe to watch this in real time, and you can always go back to like rewatch it. But your question was, so just to remind us again, just give me a general overview to see if I should focus on my career this year. Okay. And you said it's okay to share it. Should you focus on your career? Ha ha ha. Should you not? Should you ever not focus on your career? You definitely should. So there's been what has been happening in your career back in June, July, August 2025. We have Saturn and Neptune entering Aries, which is your 10th house of public life, visibility, status, and reputation. And June, July, August was the time the two of them were hanging out together in your 10th house, giving you a preview of things. And so, on one hand, this can create disillusionment, dissatisfaction, uncertainty professionally, overwhelm, overwork, um, a sense that your vision of things, Neptune, doesn't work with the reality of things, Saturn. And so out of that may even come out certain like endings and things being wrapped up. Are you a lawyer? Mars Mercury conjunct midheaven, or like a business person? Maybe it can even be like in military or fitness. Like there has to be some kind of active energy to you. But yeah, like Saturn Neptune on one hand can bring a sense of dissatisfaction professionally, but then in long run, I think it could also be a sign of you looking to find work that is more fulfilling, that feels more purposeful. However, before you get there, you may have to deal with uncertainty, like I said, burnout, overwhelm. Watch out for people in power, like authority figures, bosses, that feel stifling and restrictive. I have a Cancer rising friend who's a barista, and he was trying to get more hours, and instead he was ended up getting transferred to a different location. They were like, "We'll give you more hours, but go work there now." And I mean, he's kind of trying to make the best of it, but I don't think that's what he was hoping for. And so sometimes there may be certain like drudgery and heaviness, and um like Saturn will pressure test your career, and it might be a sign that you're entering this 2-year long period of having to deal with some obstacles, but also having to pave the way. It's like brick by brick, you're paving your way professionally. And then we also have an upcoming eclipse in your 8th house, right? That's also interesting because that might suggest that you're looking for work that is more healing, or that's more fulfilling, that maybe has some kind of humanitarian approach, or you even might be interested in like learning more about, yeah, medicine, but also maybe this could be a good surgeon's chart too. Maybe learning more about like there might be some new partnerships coming your way too, and maybe you're starting a new business partnership, and that Saturn Neptune conjunction might suggest that you'd have to carry a lot of, like, you might have to carry this partnership for a while, or there might be like sort of new relationships that are coming your way. So you're actually also going through your nodal opposition. So natally, you're meant to almost like disengage from people who are draining your energy and prioritize personal personal financial stability, let's say, or you're meant to learn how to like create financial abundance in your life. But once every 19 years, and the last time we've had this would have been in 2008, 2009, you are meant to go towards working with other people. So you're kind of going back to what your soul is very familiar with, but is maybe disengaging from. So it might be this kind of interesting period professionally where it could be good to collaborate with others and start new partnerships, but it might take some time to get them off the ground. That is what I think I'm seeing. You may see better luck. You're a process engineer, but I quit my job and I want to start a total small business by myself. Look at that. So it's a good time for it, but you have to be ready for things to be like slow, right? Saturn is going in your house of career. It means that for the next 2 years, you'll be building it. And you may see some good results, especially maybe in like July, by July, when Jupiter enters your second house, Leon. But Saturn will still be in your 10th house of career. So it's going to be like slow gains, and slow and steady wins the race. Like, you do have, generally you have a very strong ruler of your house of career. So I like you being a business owner, but I do think that Saturn will make sure you're not pushing too hard, because if you push too hard, you might get frustrated, and you might, I think, the tendency might be this year actually to push too hard and to try to do 10 things and try to just get there tomorrow and be successful right away. But I think the more you can pace yourself, and keep working at it, and also focus on creating your own reassurance, like knowing that maybe you won't immediately get the recognition you seek, because Saturn is like a buzzkill a little bit. Doesn't mean you shouldn't focus on Saturn, but it could just be like the time when everything feels heavy and there's a lot of obligations. I think you may notice after March 10th, when Jupiter goes direct, and after Mercury wraps up its retrograde on the 20th of March, that's when things might start to feel a little bit like better and more hopeful. But yeah, good time. Like, it's interesting that you're saying you want to start a small business by yourself, because there may be some relationships that you need to build, or some partnerships you need to work on before you kind of establish that independence when it comes to your business. So that's what I'm seeing. Have a good year. Be ready to sort of be patient. The last time Saturn was here would have been from 96 into 99. Worth looking at that in terms of like what kind of obstacles you dealt with. Granted, you would have only been like 15, 16, but still could be good. And you are 44, correct? 42, 43, 44. So it could be the year in which you're like building things up and gaining knowledge and growing, and maybe even studying certain things as like a build up. 45 is all about career. So to answer your question, there's like all signs say yes. All signs say a big year for career. Happy early birthday. Still 2 months to go, but yeah, it might be a good time. And you can reflect on 96, 99, and you can also reflect on 12 years before now. So if you're turning 45, think about 33. Was 33 important professionally? Because it probably will have some similar lessons this time around. I think 45 will be very like fast paced and go, and very much about independence. And maybe you are going to initiate some partnerships, but you will be the catalyst. You'll be the head of the train. So you're welcome, Evie. Thank you so much, everyone who participated. Thank you for your donations. You guys are awesome. You guys are very supportive, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Julie, I saw that you got a couple of candles already so fast. So thank you for that. Thank you for the support. And to everyone who loves astrology and wants to learn, join my course. We start March 7th. You're welcome, Kathy. Kathy says, thank you for your knowledge. Love your videos. Julie says, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. It's a birthday week, birthday month, birthday celebrations. Do not stop. Happy birthday, Julie. Okay, bye, everyone.